Welcome. Thank you for clicking on our video. Today we're going to talk a little bit about general pre-deployment and how to prepare. So the big question is, are you ready for deployment? So let's think about some of you, this may even be your first deployment. Maybe you've been through 3 or 5 or 10 maybe deployments. Maybe you're single, maybe you're a parent of a sailor, maybe you're a spouse or partner, maybe you even have children, even teenagers or even adult children. Or maybe you're even expecting your first child before this deployment or during the deployment. So all of you have different experiences, but all of this information is going to help you get an idea of what to prepare for the deployment ahead. So when it comes to preparing for deployment, let's start to think about what are some of the concerns you might have. So they're different. Some of your concerns are under the practical category, being things like finances, paperwork, household, and transportation, while others fit under the emotional category of being communication, companionship, parenting, even adapting. So today, our goal is to share information that's going to help address both of the practical and emotional sides of deployment, so that way we have a bigger picture of becoming deployment ready. Today, our agenda, we're going to cover 3 topics of the 10 keys to success. We're going to offer suggestions for practical and emotional readiness, and also provide helpful resources to get you through all stages of your deployment. This brief covers general information that pertains to all service members and any of their family members who are about to deploy. But we also offer more specific for specific needs of couples or any of you who have children and deploying with children, things to prepare for. Okay, typically when we do this in person, we do more of an activity to go through the 10 keys to deployment, but we're going to go through and break these down. So number 1, the ID cards. So the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, or DEERS, is the database that keeps track of service members' entitlements. It also stores family member information so that ID cards may be used. DEERS registration is also the key to getting TRICARE benefits. So it's really important to update DEERS after any kind of life-changing event, so either getting married or the birth of a child. Number 2 is power of attorney. POAs are very useful when conducting business or personal business, but we really need these also to cover different things. So you could have the general POA, which grants broad authorization that can be used in a variety of situations. So things like financial, medical, legal, and personal property, or even a special POA, which is more specific and narrows the authorization a person can make on your behalf. So you can even have different authorizations for different people. So, for example, if you're a single parent, you may want to give medical POA to a child care provider. Parents may also need a medical POA to cover situations where an illness or injury, even unconsciousness, might prevent your spouse or partner from making sound medical decisions. You may give a special POA to another person, even to file your taxes or buy/sell big ticket items. So if you're selling a vehicle or rent your house while you are away. You may not think that you need a POA right now, but you never know. It's really best to talk to legal or the region legal service office and really discuss the options. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Our next one, number 3, is the service member's full deployment address. So communication varies based on different deployment locations. So some of you may have access to real-time satellite video conference calls, instant messaging, cell phones, emails, and even webcams. Others may not. However, postal mail is usually accessible to everyone. So, service members, even if you believe you will have access to advanced communication, please make sure your family and friends have your full deployment address so that way they know how to contact you in case of emergency and to hopefully send you some care packages or cards in the mail. Number four is the Navy Family Accountability and Assessment System, or INFAS. INFAS is the way that Fleet and Family and commands can communicate with families during deployment, particularly those serving on individual augmentee or IA assignments. They also use INFAS to assess the family's needs in the event of an emergency or natural disaster. So we really want to make sure that your family is registered in INFAS, and your family meaning your dependents, as well as updating their location. So if your family stateside, please update their information stateside where they are, or if they're located where you're deploying from, update their address accordingly. So that way the Navy can keep track of its sailors and its family members and make sure that we're providing the services needed if there ever is an emergency. The next one, number five, is beneficiary information. So updating that SGLI, which is the service members group life insurance. So please make sure that your beneficiary information is accurate, especially if there has been a change in your family. So for more information about SGLI and how to update beneficiary and other information, you need to visit the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs website, and their website address can be found in the Deployment Support Handbook. This is also something you could talk to your administrative office at your command or PSD personnel support detachment to make sure that it's updated. Number six, let's go through these next ones. Number six is the Command Ombudsman. So the Ombudsman is a great first stop for information. Some of them will publish a newsletter or use social media to provide updates about the command, activities, and local military and community information. So ombudsmen are the command liaisons between the commanding officer, the executive officer, and the senior enlisted or command master chief, and the family members. The ombudsman is appointed by the commanding officer and serves both the command and family members. So they are not professional counselors, though, but they are trained to listen to questions or even problems, and they're even able to help refer you to the resources that can best help you. If you don't know who your ombudsman is, please ask your command, or you can always reach out to us at Fleet and Family, and we're happy to provide you with their contact information. Number seven, this page 2 is the emergency data form. And what it does for service members, it has the current contact information for your primary and secondary next of kin. So the person you list is going to be contacted in case of an emergency. And family members, if you move or leave the area for an extended period of time, please provide your ombudsman with the current contact information. This is very important, especially if they need to get a hold of you or get in contact. Number 8 is a spending plan. So creating or updating your spending plan, budget, or financial planning worksheet is a key to success. There are many pay changes that occur before, during, and after one deploys. It's wise to decide on how to manage these changes so you stay on track with your financial goals. Number 9, is the will. I know this isn't something you really want to think about, and it can be a topic that's really not easy to discuss, but it's very important. People should complete a will just to ensure that their final wishes are properly executed. So if you have children, it's important to include who you and your partner want to care for your child or children should something happen to you both. A will does not affect who is the beneficiary of life insurance, so it's important to update your will and SGLI. So the Region Legal Service Office they prepare wills at no cost to service members and their families. Number 10 is your support system. So, support systems may be different for all of you. The go to person or entity for family members may be a relative, a best friend, the ombudsman, or a support resource like the Family Readiness Group. For those of you deploying, your support system may include a shipmate, your leading petty officer, the chaplain, a chief, or the command master chief. Everyone needs someone to lean on from time to time, so please use all of your resources, especially when you need extra support. Deployment checklists. There are many other tasks you need to complete when preparing for deployment. The Deployment Support Handbook contains different checklists that are specific to single service members, couples, and parents or caregivers. So select the checklist that applies to your life situation. Make it a priority to take care of these matters before the deployment. It may take some time to get everything done, but it will save you the headache of complications should they occur. So, two of the tasks you need to think about are a family care plan and a communication plan. A family care plan is a written plan to ensure adequate care for service members' minor children and or specific adult family members during the service member's absence. It is the service member's responsibility to initiate the plan using all available military and private sector resources. Three main reasons a family care plan is required include situations where the service member is a single parent, part of a dual military couple, or legally responsible for the sole care of an elderly, disabled, or chronically ill family member. A family care plan may also be required under other circumstances. So we really encourage you to check out the Deployment Support Handbook or OPNAV instruction 1740.4D, the U.S. Navy Family Care Policy, for additional information, including a checklist for what needs to be included in the plan. Communicating with loved ones when we are apart makes it easier to reunite at homecoming. To get us thinking about communication, we want you to really start thinking about the best ways to keep in touch. How do you think you're going to communicate during deployment, or what has worked for you in the past? So, some different suggestions to help us think about this for communication is frequency. So, we really want to share how often we want to receive some form of communication. For example, how often would you like to exchange letters or emails? How often would you like to send or receive a care package? Availability. What are the best days and times to call? Be mindful that there will be times when commands will turn off communication. This could be called going black or River City for an undisclosed period. Family members, please do not be alarmed if you do not hear from the service member for weeks or more at a time. Sometimes communication will be received but not sent, or vice versa. Plan how you're going to manage these silent periods. Preferences. Discuss preferences for difficult and enjoyable situations. For example, would you like to know about a problem while it is occurring or only after there is a solution? Also, discuss items that you might like to receive in a care package and what to write or not write in letters and emails. Discretion. Family members should use discretion in the type of communication you send your service member. Emails, letters, and packages can be screened, lost, and/or opened. News of a death or serious illness of a family member or close friends should be sent through official channels such as the American Red Cross and/or the Command Ombudsman. Service members should also use discretion when sending private communication to loved ones. For example, you may need to agree on how to signal the other person not to open emails, letters, and packages, etc., in front of others. Flexibility. Communication plans can change once the deployment begins and schedules shift, so do not feel stuck to the plan you established today. The rule of thumb is to work out a new plan when and if your situation changes. It's now time to address the emotional side of deployment. It's hard being separated from our loved ones, especially during times of international conflict. If you are like most people, you will experience a roller coaster of emotions and a wide range of responses before, during, and after the deployment. Research suggests that although no one experiences deployment in exactly the same way, we do experience a fairly predictable pattern of emotions. These patterns of emotions are referred to as the emotional cycle of deployment. The cycle comprises 7 stages. Stage 1, anticipation of departure. Stage 2, detachment and withdrawal. Stage 3, emotional disorganization. Stage 4, recovery and stabilization. Stage 5, anticipation of return. Stage 6, return and renegotiation. And stage 7, reintegration and stabilization. So today we're going to cover the first 3 stages because these 3 really describe experiences from before to the onset of deployment. So stage 1, what kinds of things are happening the month before deployment? The behaviors and activities of this stage of deployment or the anticipation of departure could include working on deployment checklists, being very busy at work and at home getting everything ready, even trying to be nice to each other and create positive memories, potentially even starting to pick fights because it's easier to separate from someone when you're angry. So, what kind of emotions might accompany these activities? Things like being overwhelmed, anger, resentment, denial, and guilt. This can be a time of tension and confusing emotions as you attempt to take care of all the items on the pre deployment checklist while striving to make time for your partner, children, family, or even friends. Both the service member and their family may be physically drained, emotionally numb, or tired, and they may begin to separate mentally. Additionally, the service member may feel guilt for having to leave their family, while family members may experience denial or feel anger or resentment for being left. What are the first few days or even the first month of deployment like for family members who stay behind while the service member deploys? It could be feeling hurt and rejected, being tired and even overwhelmed, worried about our service members' safety. What are the first few days or weeks like for the person who deploys? They could be more focused on work and don't even think about the family. They could even be sad, depressed, or lonely, even worried about how things are at home. They could even be experiencing a relief that this deployment has started, so that way we can get to the end of it quicker. Some are even reporting feeling guilty about leaving their family. The emotions that we just discussed for the detachment and withdrawal as we prepare to separate are very common. So this stage begins in the final days before deployment and may extend to the first few weeks or months after the deployment. Service members may become more psychologically prepared for deployment by focusing on the mission and their command. Family members may experience sadness as they attempt to protect themselves from the hurt of separation. What are some typical feelings experienced during the first 2 months of deployment? Some things could be feeling overwhelmed, emptiness and loss, even worried about taking on new responsibilities. So, the third stage is this emotional disorganization. It's all about adjusting to new responsibilities and being alone. Our old routines have been disrupted and new ones have not yet been established. Emotions may set in right after a service member deploys until about 6 weeks into the deployment. At home, you may feel disorganized until new routines are established. Deployed members may feel an initial sense of relief, followed by guilt. They try to focus on the mission instead of their family or the friends left back home. Some may become stuck in this stage, which can cause problems throughout the remainder of the deployment and beyond. So, what can we do if we find ourselves stuck in this stage? Each of us experiences and deals with deployment in our own way. If you need assistance, do not hesitate to ask colleagues, friends, and professionals. Deployments are challenging, but they are doable. It's one thing to know that a cycle of deployment exists. It is another thing to plan how you wish to respond when these emotions arise. So, with that, we really want to encourage you to take the time to share coping strategies to help you become really emotionally ready for deployment. So, we can all learn from each other, and this could be something you could discuss with your partner, with your family member, even with other friends or fellow military associates. But really asking these questions: how will you take care of yourself when you begin to experience negative feelings associated with deployment? How will you show care and concern for others, such as children, a partner, or a shipmate, when they are hurting? How will you communicate with your partner, children, family members, or friends about emotions you or they are feeling? How will you know when it's time to get help or even extra help from your support system? What physical or mental signs appear when you are experiencing stress? The importance of thinking about this is to really help us in creating our own care plan. So, practicing our personal coping skills, making sure that we take the time to take care of ourselves, because when we take care of ourselves, we're better able to take care of others. I know personally I have really enjoyed doing different types of self care. So, exercising, I like to talk to different friends, even doing things that I find relaxing or enjoyable. So, maybe that's watching my favorite movie, cooking dinner, trying a new recipe, going on a new adventure, different things like that. Even caring for others. So, listening or being supportive and really taking the time to do something nice for the others. Communicating. So, waiting until the time's right to really have that communication and reach out to our sailor or to our family support system at home. And really support. We want to think about the physical and mental signs that really indicate support is needed. So, these could be fatigue, being emotionally drained, confused, or unsure about options. I know we didn't have a lot of time to really talk or think about these, but this is something that we can think about as we're going into this deployment. And it's really good to review this information with your partner, family, or friends. That way, we can discuss and brainstorm the most helpful ways to support each other. We really want to remember that there is no right or wrong emotional response to deployment. However, emotional reactions may become an issue if they prevent us from functioning. It's important to know when to seek assistance if we're not able to complete daily tasks, such as being able to focus on the mission or our job, caring for children, going to school, or taking care of the house. You can contact your command ombudsman, your primary care physician, or another military spouse for support. You will also find a list of support services in the Deployment Support Handbook. Do not be embarrassed to seek help. Seeking help is truly a sign of resiliency, and we really want you to know that you are able to use all of these resources, and the majority of them are free resources to you. As a final word on the cycle of deployment, I encourage you to be aware of the challenging emotions you might face, but also reflect on the positive aspects of deployment. Although separation can be difficult, it can also be a time of accomplishment and increased self awareness. Implementing your emotional readiness Action plan will help you get from stage 3, the emotional disorganization, to stage 4, the recovery and stabilization. I just want to take the time to thank you for viewing this video and learning a little bit more about deployment and planning for it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us here at Fleet and Family, and we're more than happy to assist you, and we wish you a happy and safe deployment. Thank you.